So this is the little figured wild olive box I made yesterday.
Love it.
Little detail, and it is threaded. And as I'm exploring more and more using threading, one thing that I'm learning about matching grain with a threaded piece is there's two ways to do it. I won't say it's easiest, but one way is an insert. So if you have an insert,
Mhm.
you glue it in one side, and before you glue it in the other side, you line up your grain, figure out where that's going to be. If you're able to take it apart to do it, um, take it apart before you put glue on the other side so that you don't take a risk of getting the glue on your threads. I left myself a little bit hanging here in order to do that. Another thing you can do is with an insert, the wood is actually recessed beneath the um, resin here, so there's no need to depending on on where the piece is sitting when you cut your threads. You might not need to actually cut a little thread relief if you can thread all the way through it. So it's just something to think about. I did in fact put this in, glue it in to the lid, drill it, and then thread it. So I just threaded all the way through it. So that's just a little trick there. And this is using a threading jig. But you can use these, you can do some things with hand chased as well. But you can see I was able to get a grain match. And that's literally one side loose, spin it with it screwed together, and spin it until I liked where it was at and glue it there. So the trick here is it's easiest if you cut your female threads first. And these three male, the recess on the female threads here is about 3/8 of an inch. So I've got 5 full threads in there. I think 4 or 5 full threads in there on a 12 threads per inch. Here I've got literally 3 threads, 1/4 of an inch worth of thread. And what lets me adjust so that I can get the grain to match is the neck right here below the threads. So you want to cut that relief anyway. So even if you're using a jig or hand chasing, you still have to have a place for the cutter to escape so that it doesn't jam up, right? Um, Hand chasing or using a jig. Well, adjusting the height of this shoulder can move your top deeper. Um, so as long as you keep this tenon shorter than this recess when you play with it, and I think I had to cut this again 4 times, and I was literally using the skew and shaving an infinitesimal amount off, just a tiniest bit off of the shoulder. But that's how I was able to achieve matching grain with the threads is by deepening this shoulder. So just something to think about if you're trying to achieve the grain match on a threaded piece. Also remembering too that I took that's a fairly deep tenon. That's a little right at 1/4 of an inch deep tenon. So you're going to lose some. Let's see if I can find that feature. You're going to lose. There's this dark feature. I don't know if it's spalting or if it's
Right.
see that
Right
dark
there, right
feature.
there, right, right.
Yeah, you're going to lose quite a bit, but you're going to get a general grain alignment. You can see where we still have decent match there. It's not
Nice
going to be
job.
perfect, not ever,
And
but it's going to be
do you
close
find
enough.
it better doing it that way as opposed to shaving the top of the threads off?
Well, if you yes, because if you keep the tenon shorter than the mortise is deep, your threads are never going to bottom out in the top here. You'll always have an extra. See, I've got at least one full extra thread in the lid from here, which gave me 12 threads per inch. There's 3 threads per 1/4 inch. So that gave me an extra eighth of an inch or 16th of an inch of space between where I was able to move it deeper. And literally I took a cut, put it on, and realized I was just like an eighth of a turn. I took a cut, put it on, I was a 16th of a turn. I was taking that fine of cuts to get it to down to match where we would get that continuous shape there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you just leave more room in the lid than you take from the base, and that is what allows you to adjust it deeper and deeper, so it goes a little bit tighter, which turns you a little bit more and get your grain aligned.
Yeah.
Now my next
Okay. Yeah,
trick is going to
I'll have to
be
try it like that.
align grains, and then after I have the lid and the body together, then I'm going to take it off axis. So the box is going to be multi-axis with aligned grain.
Before you put any sanding sealer or anything like that on it, after you've got this thing turned and basically sanded, if you're going to embellish it with the embellishing wax like I did, use like a brass brush or something and brush the heck out of that grain, and then blow it out so you have a really good place for the embellishing wax to go.
Oh,
So
yeah, right.
Explanation of what embellishing wax is.
Oh, okay. So
Do a
here's
deep dive.
here's a couple of examples of embellishing wax that I use. Now, these are Hampshire sheen, and he's not going to make these anymore. Martin's shutting down that shop. But Jimmy Clues has a line of embellishing waxes, and you can get a bunch of them online. But it's a wax that has a color in it, and you can rub it across something like maybe I use a texturing tool on the bottom of a bowl, and then you want to highlight the texture. You can rub that embellishing wax into the texture and then buff it off of the outside of the texture, and you can see a design. So I have 5 colors of this. I have it in black, white, gold, purple, and blue. And a tip with using an embellishing wax is you want to do something to the wood before you put the embellishing wax on it if you're trying to use it to fill grain or to fill from a texturing tool or something like I use the Sorby texturing tool. You want to put a sanding sealer on or something like that on that wood, then use the texturing tool. Or if you're going to be embellishing grain, put a really light coat of it on there, so you're not filling up those pores that you want to fill with that wax. But anyway, if you put something on like a sanding sealer and then you put the embellishing wax on, because it's wax based, you can take that thing, spin it up a couple of thousand RPMs, and buff it out, and it'll give it a great shine because you're having the wax come out of that and onto on your product. So I like using them a lot.
Can you put a finish over it?
I do. I end up like this one right here. That embellishing wax, I buffed the heck out of it, and then I put this Prolux over it.
Here is a tool, drill doctor, and I was talking with Dane the other day about sharpening tools, and here this comes up, but it's going to be tips and tricks. Let's see, can you see all that? There's that. And see, like Vanna would be showing the drill bit right now,
Yeah, you don't have Vanna's hands, but we'll make do.
And some cleavage probably too.
Yeah, right.
Well, anyway, again, with this here tool, you take a bit. What I did was I don't know if you can see, I put a little bit of red marker on the tip. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
can see it.
Okay, you stick it in the top here, and here, could you see these? I guess something I can point with. There's two. Let me take the thing back out. You see two little holders,
Right.
I guess you call them, or whatever,
Yeah, little jaws.
Yeah, yes, of course. And you stick your drill bit in here, and you try to get those to line up in the middle of the flute. Do you see where I'm at right now?
Yes.
I'm gonna turn the top here a little bit,
It's
and
probably
I'm gonna.
self-aligning when you tighten it.
That's what it does. It's a self-aligning thing. Those two jaws are
Okay.
exactly. So it's giving me the two ends is going to stay in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it inside of this right here, and I'm going to set it that not to hit the edge yet, but hit the off edge. Do you understand that? Okay. Now when I just did that, it brought the drill bit up. And I'm going to turn the top of this now to tighten it down. And now it brought me just right there that I'm going to only work on that tip. And
Okay. So you don't over sharpen it. Waste tool steel.
right. Well, like all demos, let's see what happens. You turn it on. What you do, you just keep turning it clockwise.
Turned on?
Yes.
Zoom's muffling the sound.
Okay.
What? Do you want me to shut it off? What?
No, you're
I was
good.
wondering if it was turned
I'm
on.
turning. I'm turning this, and I don't know if you hear it. You hear that grind? Well, no, but there's. You know, obviously this drill bit was probably pretty sharp.
How long do you got to do that for?
What's that? Whatever I do, I have to make them even. If I do one, I have to do two. If I do three, I have to do four. So that's what I was counting right there. And
Oh,
yeah, I know how. Anyways, I mean, I could go further, but you can see that I've got the top. I don't know if you can see the color or not. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm not.
thread's gone off the tip.
Well, just about is at the. I've got a little bit longer.
Always wondered how one of them worked.
Can you just do twist drills with it?
My drill doctor is
I'm
completely
sorry, I
different
didn't
than
hear
that
the question.
one.
What's that?
I said
didn't
my
hear you.
drill doctor is completely different than that.
This is about 15, 20 years old, and yes, it
Is
took
that,
it down.
hey, Al,
Yes.
is that the only kind of drill bits that'll sharpen?
I mean, it won't sharpen, something like, that has the point on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just for this one's just for twist drill bits.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Um,
They'll sharpen both the 118-degree and 134-degree twist bits.
Text message.
I have a block of wood right here. I don't know.
Yeah, we can see it.
Right here.
Yep, we got it.
And well, the truck just stopped, but I guess
That
the
happens to
battery
me all the
died.
time, Al.
Yeah.
How small a drill bit will it sharpen?
Actually, I've only used 1/8 inch in the business I was in. I never went any lower than 1/8 of an inch, and it used to, I mean, I could buy. I would go through packets and packets and packets of drill bits, starting off 1/8 inch first, a 16 and a quarter, and do my stuff that I have to do and stuff. But yeah, since I bought it, I mean, you have to remember to find time to do it, but yeah, it saves $1 because it does a really nice job. Does a nice job, you know. Um, so
If you
like I
learn
said, what's that?
if you learn to sharpen by eye, you can do it in the time it takes you to put that in the
You,
chuck.
you know what, Jim? My dad used to do that, and I have all the stuff sitting back in my other shop.
You got it.
And oh my God, I have everything that he had right there. I mean, from saw blades, circular saw blades, drill bits, and it would be all that stuff where you bring the cut down and everything, and everything's on an angle. I have all that stuff sitting out there, and I don't know how to use it, but I'm not throwing it away. Just sentimental thing. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You're making your the rake on the teeth, to make that right and everything. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Sharpening is a big part of what we do. Try to learn as much as you can of it.
Right.
With the